Hello and welcome back to another episode of Seagulls Central. My name is Adam MacDonald and thank you for tuning into the channel once again. And if you're listening on audio, what do I always say? Thank you so much for putting me in my ears. And what a reason to jump on with a podcast. I know I said a couple of episodes ago, I think I might only do, little think pieces every week or so around the kind of big story of the week. But I think after a result, recently I've just been doing it pretty much after every game and after every kind of story's broken around the Albion. But since, after having been at that game this afternoon, Man United won, Brighton and Albion 3. I had to race back and put this out for you because what a reaction we need to have. I mean, what a game we need to cover. What the debate around it's amazing. The conversation. There's so many fantastic talking points, and I'm fortunate that I've been able to get back and do this video as quickly as possible and get stuck into this for you. Honestly, all I can say is that game was absolutely brilliant. I've been to Old Trafford to watch Brighton probably 6 or 7 times, really in the last kind of 10 years in the Premier League era. I've probably done 6 maybe out of, what would it be, 8 away days we've had. And genuinely, I think most times I've been, we've won. It's mad. I was saying to, my friends on the way in, I was saying, I think we're gonna win again. I backed Brighton to win. I know I said it on the episode that I did a couple of days ago, talking about the Ipswich result and talking about, how Brighton have maybe got over a hill a little bit in terms of bad form. I was saying that I'd go into this Man United game feeling really confident, and I did again. Obviously, you never really know, but genuinely, we did, we obviously won 3-1, but we absolutely deserved that. We were brilliant. It wasn't just good goals we scored. Some of the play and some of the build-up that team put together this afternoon was absolutely nothing short of sensational. And I'll come on to this in a minute, but I just want to say, there's been a lot of talk, myself included, around the shortcomings of this squad so far this season and the manager. However, that was an absolutely fantastic performance. And you can only put out a performance like that if you have some absolutely quality, and I mean quality technical players. Some of the technical play that I saw on show at Old Trafford this afternoon from the Brighton players was unbelievable. From Mitoma, Estupinian, players like Veltman, Welbeck, all of the, Belabor, the way that Minteh could literally go around the team, some of the combination play that I saw this afternoon, I thought was absolutely fantastic. And there were moments where I was stood there going, if we're about to score from this chance here, like obviously we didn't, but I was thinking, oh my God, it would be like the goal of the century, because some of the play was just fantastic. And I think our ability to just pop the ball round Man United so easily with an arrogance, with a pizzazz, with just a real technical flair. We were nutmegging players. We were moving through the lines. We were doing little combination triangles. We were just dizzying the Man United players at times. And I remember I saw them, it would have been 2022 when we beat Man United in Erik ten Hag's first game at Old Trafford. And I thought that was maybe the best one, the best performance I'd see in terms of an upset away from home. And just like the brilliant away day. It was in the summer. It was great. And then the year later, I think it was, we obviously went there with De Zerbi. Obviously, the first one was with Potter, I think. Then we went back with De Zerbi. Did it again. I remember Pascal Gross scored when he sat down Lisandro Martinez. And I was thinking, okay, we've had our fun. Maybe, I'll take a draw in this game. Maybe that would be more realistic. Amad Diallo in great form. Man United looking a bit better. But honestly, I think that might have been one of the best ones in terms of just the way we played. It was relentless. I think apart from a kind of fairly, the momentum swung back a little bit in the first half after Man United equalised. We had a less good kind of middle bit of the first half. Apart from that, I'd say it was all one-way traffic in terms of if you saw a momentum chart. I'm sure the stats will prove me wrong, but the way it felt, I never really felt after they scored the first goal after what would it have been 4, 6, 8 minutes. I always just felt we're going to win this because of the way we were playing, and it was so good. What I'm going to do is I managed to get a few videos, as I always do when I go away. And if you follow Seagulls Central on Twitter, you'll see, when I'm at away games, I try not to be that guy filming everything. I really do, because I hate that. But I try to just get, once I've gone, for 20, 30 seconds, I then get the old phone out and just try and get the last bits of the celebration. So I've got that, and I'll overlay that in a sec when I'm talking about each goal, because the celebrations are great and it was so much fun. Hopefully that can give you a bit of a flavour of just how good it was. But yeah, in terms of the team, let's get into it. So a very, very similar team to the team that played at Ipswich and obviously did so well in that game. The only changes were Adam Webster was out after that brilliant performance at Ipswich, it's got to be said. Didn't necessarily deserve to lose his place, but when Lewis Dunk becomes available again, I think it's obvious you're gonna play Lewis Dunk. So he was back in. It was still a midfield two of Baleba and Ayeri, which I thought was good against Ipswich and was good again in this game. Matt O'Reilly did drop out, and we brought in Yankuba Minteh, and Minteh came in for Rutter on the right. I think I can't remember the exact starting 11 against Ipswich, but basically Minteh came in, Dunk came in, and Danny Welbeck came in back from the start. Him and João Pedro up top. Matt O'Reilly dropped to the bench. Mitoma left. Estepinian left back. Veltman right back. Minteh right wing. And the two centre halves in the middle. A very strong team, one that I really like because you had those options. I love Rutter. You're probably my favourite player right now at the club, but he's a great option to bring on off the bench. And I felt that Fabian Hürzeler picked the right side to start with. Mitoma and Minteh, incredibly direct from minute one. We were lumping, but not lumping. We were kind of floating balls in behind. The tactic clearly that was working for us was getting the ball in behind quickly with a quick ball from a Baleba or a Dunk into Mitoma or Minteh on the right or left wing, and getting them in behind and getting them attacking and running at the fullbacks. Because, that's how that first goal came about. That's how so many of the chances came about. We're in those wide areas, taking advantage of the fullbacks being out of position, the centre-halves in the back three being a bit all over the place and not quite being sure of their positions. We really, really... And maybe that is a way to play against the back three when you've got your three centre-backs quite wide in possession and then your fullbacks really high up. Actually, if you can get two wingers really high and just getting them sitting on the shoulder of the last defender and just getting in behind with a perfect ball from Dunk or Baleba, that's what we were doing so well. And from minute one, whatever the goal was, minute 4, minute 5, minute 6, minute 7, we were doing that. And the goal came about, and it was absolutely fantastic. The ball in around the middle of the park, Baleba's getting the ball. By the way, Baleba, again, having an absolutely fantastic game, winning possession, bullying people, being able to travel up the field so well. He gets the ball quite deep into our half, probably on the edge of the D in our half. One perfect ball over the top into Mitoma, and Mitoma is in. With that ability that he has just to deaden the ball immediately and be in behind, he takes his touch and it's perfect, and suddenly he's straight in behind. He's one-on-one with the goalkeeper. What does he do? You notice Minteh's to his right, squares it to him, and he has a perfect tap-in. And it was brilliant and a really fantastic start because Brighton, the first couple of minutes, it's hard. It's, no one really made necessarily a really kind of obviously fast start. Man United didn't come out of the gate really fast. We didn't necessarily come out of the gate really fast, but that first big chance in the game just went to us and we scored it. And I think that really set the tone for that game plan of Brighton just being really in everyone's face, being right on the shoulder of the last defender, getting in behind. I thought Brighton's pressing was really, really good as well. And the front line, particularly the Mitoma, Welbeck, Minteh with João Pedro sort of just in behind, playing off him, was a brilliant front line because they pressed so well. Danny Welbeck in particular pressed absolutely brilliantly. There were moments in that first half where Mainu or Ugarte were just caught napping on the ball, and you'd see Welbeck coming quite deep actually and just pinching the ball off him. That physicality that Welbeck has where he can just nudge someone off the ball, barge them out of the way. He came deep, he'd win the ball back, he'd hold on to it, and he'd get us up the field. And there were so many great moments like that where actually our build-up play was brilliant. We'd win possession, we'd win that turnover, and we would then build up and counter-attack or just have general nice build-up really, really nicely with the two wingers bombing on. So it was a really nice start. And you know what? Up until that point, absolutely perfect. What had happened before that, though? When playing out from the back, I thought Dunk, Van Hecke, the whole back line were very good. Bart Verbruggen did make a couple of slip-ups with his ball distribution out from the back before the fateful penalty that came about. There was one incident where he played it into, I think it was Ayari, basically just in the middle of the pitch. And it was an ambitious ball because it wasn't really on, and Ayari would have had to have done quite a lot. Anyway, it kind of all ended up getting back to normal and they were able to reset. But it was a poor ball and it was, oh my God, Verbruggen, pull yourself together, mate. Anyway, 5 minutes later, what does he do? He goes and does the same thing again. Now, I love Verbruggen. I think probably in the grand scheme of things, in terms of quality, he probably is the best goalkeeper this club has ever had. You might disagree with that, but I think I will be eventually proven right in that. You know, Dutch number one, only 22, 23, if that, 21. You know, a top goalkeeper. Some of the saves you saw him make at Ipswich, brilliant. The Norwich game, you know, there have been many games in the last month or so where he has really come up trumps with some of the saves he's made. However, I will say that goal, that penalty that, okay, technically Baleba conceded it due to the foul. However, I'm sorry, Baleba had to make some sort of challenge on Xerxes there. He was one-on-one with the keeper. He was going to, you know, something was going to happen. A goal was going to come about somehow. It's really poor from Verbruggen. That's the one thing. Obviously, he's a young keeper. It's his first full proper season as the regular number one, obviously with last season there being so much rotation. But he needs to get on top of that. I know, you know, of course, you expect mistakes in this kind of system, but I think if we're just going to take a minute to be a little bit critical where some criticism needs to be handed out, that was poor. And it was the fact it was like the second time it had happened in the game where you just think, for God's sake, just get it out, man. There's no like dunks to your left. Like, why are we playing that ball straight forward ahead where their midfield can just pounce on it? And I think it was Amad Diallo who pounced on it, and he was sort of up against Ayari, and he played it into Xerxes, and Baleba tries to kind of win the ball back, but it was never, you know, it was a silly foul, and okay, in the end maybe it was Baleba's fault, but you know, it was a poor ball, and it actually annoyed me quite a lot, that, because I just thought to myself, for God's sake, you know, can we not just hold on to a lead for 10 minutes? Anyway, so but I will say in the second half, Verbruggen had to make one or two decent saves, but to be honest, actually he didn't have much to do. Credit to Brighton. And this isn't, so I want to reiterate, this isn't a Verbruggen slander thing. It's just, you know, I think that's a legitimate, fair criticism. You know, it was a mistake, and we should mention it. I think he just needs to be more careful, because it's happened a few times. I think back to the Fulham game, I think he did it in as well, where he literally just gave a goal away. Anyway, let's brush that one under the carpet because of the positive result, but it's one that we did. I think he'll be hurting only after that. You know, the result was very good, but he'll be aware of how, you know, that can't be a sustainable way for him to play. But yeah, then we'll move on. So in going to halftime 1-1, Brighton actually really had a bit of a after that penalty was conceded, they had not a slump, but Man United kind of got into it a little bit more. Brighton were a bit more poor. I thought they were giving the ball away a little bit easier. It was that kind of classic when the momentum swings kind of things can change a little bit. But they get into halftime. They finished halftime fairly strong with a couple of chances and, you know, getting in behind them again quite well. And overall, the first half was very good. Second half, there was that big controversial ruled out offside João Pedro goal. Now, I'd love to know what you think. For me, I can, you know, it's easy. It's all fair in love and war once you've kind of got the result at the end and we're walking away with a 3-1 win and you're kind of feeling all right about it. But I think, say the game had ended 1-1 and that had been the goal that we had gone ahead with and it got ruled out, I would be feeling quite sore because I've watched it back. I've not fully zoomed it all in and properly looked at it, but I've looked at it. I had a look on my phone on the tram back into Manchester this afternoon, and I was just thinking it's a bit soft, isn't it? Van Hecker obviously lifts his foot to kind of pass it into, I guess, what would have been João Pedro, and is it Ugarte? Is it Mazraoui? I don't know which player it is. He kind of clips him. I don't know. I think in the cut and thrust of a penalty box kind of clamber around, I think that kind of thing happens where the ball bounces off people. You might get a little nick off someone where you accidentally kind of kick someone, but actually it wasn't a foul, I wouldn't say. And I think the referee, he obviously did, he did give the goal initially and then it was ruled out. Look, the turn from João Pedro was fantastic and the scenes in that corner, I mean, I'll play now some of the celebrations of that moment because it was brilliant. He comes over, he put his hands on his ears after the big celebration. He did a kind of, you know, a bit of the old why always me stance at the end, you know, with crossing his arms and putting his arms out, going like that. And it was quite a cold celebration. But the turn the turn was fantastic. He turned his man. He found a bit of space and a perfect finish through Onana. And it was a brilliant goal. And another example of João Pedro, who I think had a very, very good game again today. Technically brilliant, can hold the ball up, can move us forward. Say a Welbeck kind of receives the ball and holds it up and can kind of wait for others to come into play. You'll find a João Pedro running off him, then picking the ball up off Danny Welbeck and moving us up the pitch, getting it out to a winger. He's got that real talismanic energy of like getting everyone up and carrying the ball and, and a real eye for goal. Those clutch moments. I think back to the Europa League last season at home down in front of the North Stand, those big moments. And that kind of felt like another one where the ball just dropped in the box. Who's it going to land to? Pedro, bang, not even thought about it, goal. And I think that's what I love about him. He's got that real, ice in his veins where the ball can just land at his feet and he knows what to do. He's not a player who, maybe he's not an out-and-out striker, but yeah, he's a cam, he's a kind of false nine, but actually he's still got that striking predatory instinct that poacher's instinct where the ball drops to him and he's just going to score a goal, and it was brilliant. Van Hecke with that kind of touch, it was one of those, isn't it? Ridiculous, really. I think I would have been quite aggrieved. But anyway, not long after that, let's say 10 minutes after that, 5 minutes even, my concept of time in the stadium was just so warped, I have no idea. But Mitoma gets the second goal, the actual winner to put us 2-1 up at that point. Ayari, shout out for Ayari, I do want to say, who had a really, really good game. I'll come on to him afterwards, maybe just to talk about some standout players, but I thought he was very good. A player who at half-time I was saying to my dad, I was going, I like Ayari, but I feel like I don't really know what he is. Yeah, and Hürzeler likes him, and he's a good little tidy player, technically very good, can knock the ball about, and I like his industry that he has to him, that kind of steeliness where he can kind of get in and that same kind of João Pedro element where he can barge people to the ball and kind of carry the ball a bit, and he was very good at that. But I was kind of at half time I was kind of thinking, I'm not sure what his game is. Anyway, second half, boy did he come out and have a brilliant game. For the Mitoma goal that puts 2-1 ahead, Ayari in the middle of the pitch wins the ball, gets the ball played to him, and he drives us up the pitch. He carries the ball, dribbles forward and gets us right up into the Man United kind of final third and plays a lovely ball out to Minteh. Minteh receives the ball with his left foot, a left foot far post kind of ball. Like one, I think Welbeck scored a goal last season or the season before where it goes right far into the far post and he was there. This time it was Mitoma at the far post. He was able to just kind of prod it in with his far foot reaching in. And it was a great goal. Brilliant from Ayari. Another brilliant piece of play from Minteh. Minteh and Mitoma on fire this afternoon. They were absolutely fantastic. And a really, really, really good goal. And then not long after that, Rutter gets the third. Again, another example of where Ayari was really good. Out wide, getting the ball played to him. He was in a kind of what would be a right wing position, a right back high up the pitch. It was Ayari out there. Basically thinks, screw it, I'm just going to put the ball in the box. Puts the ball in the box. It's a really good ball, actually. I remember thinking, he's overhit this here. It was a really good ball right in front of the keeper, but then the keeper just about gets to it, spills it, lands to the feet of Rutter, and Rutter's able to just poke it away. Rutter's now becoming a player. I think I spoke about it in the last episode. He's probably my favourite player now, Georginio Rutter. He encapsulates everything that you want to see from a fan when you see a footballer. He's so hard-working. He's technically brilliant. He scores goals. He scores good goals. He scores scrappy goals. I said it before, but whenever he plays well, it feels like the team plays well. Whenever the team plays well, it feels like it's because he's playing well. And he encapsulates the kind of vibe and momentum of the team. And I think it was another example where he came on and that energy, that industrious nature that he has to him, where he'll chase every ball down. He'll be searching and sniffing for everything. He's got that real element about him with that brilliant technical ability to dribble past players and get around players. And it was the perfect player for it to land to because he could so easily just run the ball round Onana's hands and poke it away. And a player who I'm loving at the moment. And you see him at full time giving it all that. And, after the Ipswich game, taking the camera and doing the old dances. He loves the fans. I remember even at the end of the warm-up, or was it half-time maybe, where he was a substitute. Obviously, he wasn't in the starting 11. And he comes over to the fans after all the players had done their warm-up, and he comes over by himself and there's a little wave and a clap and everyone's loving. He's got a big smile on his face and waves to all the young fans down the front. You just think he's a proper, clearly a very nice guy, but he has that spirit in a footballer which is so infectious for a fan to just love and get behind. And I think I'm a massive fan of Georginio Rutter, and he's a player who Obviously, Leeds fans were so gutted to lose, and they spoke about it. They were going, well, he's not a goal scorer, but he's just you'll just love him. And I kind of get what they mean. Like, he is being a goal scorer now. Let's be real about it. But actually, maybe that's not fully his game. His game's more than that. It's dribbling. It's getting past players. It's pressing. It's all of that. And but he just captures the essence of what you love about a footballer. So a big performance from him off the bench, but another goal for him. I've got a few notes here about just individual things I want to talk about. I spoke about Welbeck a minute ago, but I want to just mention it again. Obviously, him back at Old Trafford, he scored. I think the last time we went to Old Trafford was it last season or the season before. He's got a good knack of scoring at Old Trafford, but I thought, despite him not scoring today, I thought his performance was fantastic. His ability to win the ball back high up the pitch, bully the central midfielders into just like basically winning the ball back. He could dribble past players so easily. I was so impressed by the way he just dribbled past some of the defenders and the defensive midfielders and could just get the ball. I've got a real vision of him picking up the ball around halfway around the pitch in the middle and just driving forwards and then passing a perfect ball out to Minteh on the right-hand side and just keeping that build-up play ticking over and the momentum of getting us forward. I thought it was a strong performance, a physical performance, a technical performance from Welbeck. And he led the line fantastically. And obviously, he's been in the goals for us this season. We haven't seen him score in a few games now since he's struggled with his injury, etc. But a really, really top performance from Danny Welbeck. I put in here Mitoma and Purvis, their performance. I thought those two on the left-hand side linked up like the Mitoma and Purvis of old, of the year that we qualified for the Europa League. They were brilliant. They were passing it, they had Amad Diallo to defend against, and I thought, to be fair to Mitoma, he got back so much. He put in such a shift in terms of getting back into position and defending against Amad Diallo, but also Purvis Estupiñán against him, against Diallo and Mazraoui. The two of them together doubled up against those two so well. Anything that came against them, they were able to defend, but also they were able to play through them. Even in our defensive half, when we were being pressed a little bit, Mitoma and Purvis with a little midfield third person making a little triangle. Those two were just brilliant as a combination. They always knew where each other were. They were looking for each other. They had each other's backs. I thought that combination defensively, but also going forward, the way that Estupiñán was able to play Mitoma in on that left-hand side quite a few times, just lovely balls down the line, releasing him. I thought it was like the Mitoma and Purvis of old, and it was so good to see. And maybe it's because in that first half and the second, you're in your way end, you're kind of in line with the left-hand side, so you really do see it. But I thought it was a really strong performance from them. Put Purvis back to his brilliant best as well. So good. And then obviously I've written about Ayari, who I mentioned earlier. I thought he had a really good performance in that second half. Showed the energy, the dynamism, the combativeness. It was really good. And he's a little guy. That sounds patronising, just a very little man, but he's got that steeliness about him. I love his technical ability. His passing's very good. The only thing I think, and it's not really his fault, but when Verbruggen's looking for a ball to play, sometimes he plays it to Dunk, he plays it to Van Hecken, but Labour might come deep. And Ayari, when he comes deep and he's got like Ugarte right behind him pressing him, I just don't really back Ayari in those moments to receive the ball and be able to physically bat off the midfielder behind him. And particularly when you're playing out so harily, I think he needs to beef up a little bit and get better in those moments of just properly holding his man off, shrugging it off. I think he needs to get a little bit better at that, but that's a real criticism. In terms of his attacking play today, brilliant. Got himself essentially assist for the Rutter goal, got a pre-assist for the Mitoma goal at the far post, and then obviously Baleba got that pre-assist. What a load of rubbish. Baleba played a lovely ball for the first opening goal, Minteh goal. So those two in midfield, excellent again. Baleba, we know what he's like now. He gave away a penalty, but actually, the amount of times he won the ball back, there was one moment where I think it was from a corner or something. We'd lost the ball and Man United were essentially on a counter-attack. I think it was Diallo who would have been one-on-one. Baleba, what's he do? He just intercepts it. It's easy, casual for him. So it would have been quite hairy if we didn't have him. It was just made to look so effortless. So, that's our Baleba, isn't it? But yeah, it was brilliant. And finally, I just want to mention Fabian Hürzeler in all this because, I've been sort of happy to sit here and maybe not give a bit of criticism, but almost just say, I don't really know. I get what his style is. And I think, it's fair enough, some of the criticism. I think these last few games, we've seen performances which actually we hadn't seen under De Zerbi. We'd gone and beaten two sides, lesser sides, who we'd maybe thought we might beat. Norwich and Ipswich, good results against them, which in itself is impressive, being able to beat kind of lesser sides, but then being able to go and back it up with a win against Man United, replicate a good result we've had in the past, and do a real statement performance with some fantastic football. The way we were knocking about, I swear to you, you got to have some properly good, confident players who are coached very well to play like how we played at Old Trafford today. And I think fair play to Fabian Hürzeler, because he's not turned it around, because it was never really hairy, but it was a bit draw here, what's our style? But actually, he's turned it around, so to speak, and it was a top performance. Then you put out the right lineup today. When I speak about those wingers getting high and wide and getting in behind constantly, that was clearly our tactic, to get it in behind the Maguires and De Ligt, who were rather immobile. Great tactic there. The substitutions, top class. Solly March came on, made a difference. Rutter obviously made a difference. And I thought, fair play to Fabian Hürzeler. Very, very good substitutions. And, I thought it needed to be said, to be honest. But yeah, what a result. God, I feel like I've just come out of a washing machine. I just feel all over the place. I mean, race back here to do this as well. It was so good. Such a good afternoon. And there's some of the best away days aren't even always when you get a win like that. But when you do get good wins like that, it's really good. It's really, really good. And I loved it. So I'm glad wherever you watched it, whether you were in the ground, whether you watched it on the telly, however you listened to it on the radio, I hope you loved it as well, because, and take it from me, it was a really, really good performance. If you didn't get to properly watch it, it was very, very impressive. And it's one that we can take into... Is it Everton on the 25th, I think, next weekend, and then Chelsea in the Cup, and then Forest away. I'll be there. Forest away on the 1st or the 2nd. 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday. Oh, can you be bothered? So yeah, it's going to be good. We've got some tough games coming up, but hopefully, Moyes, Everton looking good, beating Tottenham. I wonder how we'll be. Can we keep that up? If we play the technical passing football that we played at Man United today, will be absolutely fine, he says cautiously. Anyway, thank you so much for watching as always. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please drop a subscription. I try and post as often as I can, reacting to games, reacting to news, talking about general kind of thematic talking points around the club. Obviously, Yankuba meant to say that actually. Good luck to Yankuba at Feyenoord. I'll do a little tweet about him when he does leave. But, I think he was a very, very good player before the injury. And I think that's maybe in some quarters, not spoken about enough amongst the fan base. In that Potter team, the 21-22 sort of team would have been, he was very good. A utility player, could play at left back, could play in central midfield, was physical, was strong, was quick, was technical, was really good, a really lovely footballer. And obviously since that injury, he's come in, he's essentially become a bit part player. And I really wish him luck going to work with Bjorn Hamburg, obviously Potter's ex-assistant, who didn't go to West Ham because he was already the assistant manager at Feyenoord. So he'll be working with a similar familiar face, should I say. So good luck to him. I hope that goes well for him, because I think €3 million, it's a good fee for everyone. It lets him at 24, 25 years old be able to kind of crack on with his career. So, yeah, a good move all round. So good luck to Yankuba, and thank you for everything you've done at Brighton. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a subscription. It really means a lot. Drop a comment down below. Let me know, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Tell me your experience. Where did you watch the game? Did you love it? What was your favourite moment? Please let me know. I'd love to hear it. And I'll be back very soon next week to talk about whatever we've got to talk about. Who knows? Hopefully Messi signs for Brighton and we can come on and talk about that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time. And as always, up the Albion.